Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, Texas leaders announced an investigation into CenterPoint Energy following the outages caused by Beryl. Victoria police arrest a man on 6 charges, and extreme temperatures caused an uptick in search and rescues across the nation during this brutal heat wave.
And we still have enough tropical moisture to get us some of these little showers around the area. Not little, but some of them are nice. And we're not getting any severe weather. This activity will continue for maybe a day and a half. And then, yeah, the heat wave comes back to us. We'll be talking about that coming up in a moment.
Watch dramatic video of a plane aborting takeoff because of a tire explosion. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good afternoon. Thanks for being with us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia has the day off. New details have come out in a murder case on Monday on East Water Street. A search warrant released by authorities revealed that Virginia Ann Martinez was at a family gathering when her son, Trevon Martinez, who is accused of stabbing her, became upset, believing people were disrespecting him. Family members say he pulled a knife and his mother stepped in to take Trevon to the car and leave. They could not reach her and recognized her SE on a social media post showing she'd been in a crash. The search warrant also indicated the victim had a large cut and smaller cuts to the right of her neck. Family members told police Trevon suffers from psychosis and is diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic and was known to carry a butterfly-style knife. Victoria police arrest a 39-year-old man Thursday. Jaime Garcia of Victoria faces 6 charges, including 2 for manufacture and delivery of a controlled substance. He is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of $100,000 bond. Houstonians are becoming impatient as more than 1 million people wait for their power to be restored after Hurricane Beryl. Customers are going on day 4 of no power, with temperatures reaching the mid-90s this afternoon and with humidity making it feel even hotter. One of those customers painted an image on the side of a section of busy Interstate 10 and graffiti that says CenterPoint less. And now it's catching a lot of attention. CenterPoint says they have hired an additional 12,000 frontline workers from across the country to help restore power. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has requested an investigation of CenterPoint Energy and other energy companies in the wake of power outages from Beryl. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick made the announcement during a news conference Thursday. Patrick says it's possible the companies, in his words, underestimated the impact of the storm.
The governor announced today that he's asking for an investigation of CenterPoint and any power company that does not deliver and see what the problems were.
Meanwhile, an executive for CenterPoint Energy says roughly 500,000 customers in Houston won't have their power restored until sometime next week. They spoke before the Texas Public Utility Commission today, who urged the company to rebuild trust with customers in the affected areas. Here's your viewer poll this afternoon. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote. Here's the question. Should utility companies be held accountable for outages during extreme weather events? Yes or no? We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. I will have an update on 25 News Now at 6. The home of the Houston Texans is now serving as a medical shelter days after Hurricane Beryl slammed into the city. Area hospitals are overcrowded. That's because the facilities cannot send some of their patients home who don't have power. So now NRG Arena is temporarily housing patients who normally would be discharged. The medical shelter is expected to house about 250 beds by Wednesday evening. The facility will be staffed with doctors, nurses, other medical professionals, and EMTs. Now let's take a first look at your First Warn Storm Team forecast. Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis joins us now with a look at what's going on outside. More heat and humidity, Mac, after some more rain.
Yeah, the rain at least cools us down for a little bit of the afternoon, but there is more shower activity for the next couple of days. I'm not making any excuses for CenterPoint, but Houston, as you know, Don, has a lot of big trees. And when those trees go down, it's inevitable those lines are going to go down. So that's another thing they should consider before the storm, not afterwards. We are looking, of course, at the shower activity in south of Victoria right about now. It goes all the way down to Brownsville. Nice to get rain with no problems. We'll be talking about that and the heat wave for next week coming up in just a moment.
Points well taken, Mac. Thank you. It's only July 11th and there's already been 28 heat-related deaths reported this month during a record-breaking heat wave. In Nevada, Red Rock Search and Rescue says it has seen an uptick in calls for missing people.
Red Rock Search and Rescue is an all-volunteer team helping more than 10 partner agencies across Nevada looking for lost hikers and other missing people. This summer, with temperatures soaring,
separate water on the side.
Vice Commander Bonnie Bannigan says most of their calls are coming from within the city rather than from the mountains or the desert.
We're definitely getting a lot more calls in the city. People underestimate because they're not going out with the intention to do a 10-mile hike. The individuals in town are more of the wanderers and the people who have walked out of their house unprepared, not expecting to be gone long.
Over the weekend, a motorcyclist suffering from heat exhaustion died while riding through Death Valley in 128-degree heat. And the National Park Service says medical helicopters were unable to respond since it's generally unsafe to fly in temperatures over 120. Bannigan says so far her team hasn't been called to a situation where a search would be too risky to attempt. But she says extreme weather is always considered when planning their approach.
Would we go to Death Valley in 130-degree weather? That would be really to question the risk versus reward. Is the likelihood of us finding this person better than the risk of one of our own getting hurt or someone else, getting injured in the process?
Sometimes the search ends with a happy reunion.
And sometimes it's not a happy moment because, it wasn't the outcome we wanted. We found someone who didn't make it for one reason or another. However, the family is always so appreciative that we've been able to bring them closure. That's why we keep doing what we do. It keeps us going.
Actress Shelley Duvall has died at age 75. Her longtime life partner told The Hollywood Reporter Duvall died in her sleep at their home in Blanco in Central Texas of complications of diabetes. Duvall, a Fort Worth native who was raised in Houston, was a standout starring opposite Jack Nicholson in the horror film The Shining and Robin Williams in the comedy Popeye. Hardcore fans of cinema also recognize her for her roles in movies by acclaimed filmmaker Robert Altman. A Florida woman charged with possession of ammunition in the Turks and Caicos Islands is free to return home after paying a $1,500 fine. Sharita Shanice, Greer's lawyer, said Greer was set to pay the fine today and then fly to the U.S. She is one of 5 Americans accused of bringing ammunition to the islands in recent months. She was the last of the 5 to receive her sentence. Greer said she did not know 2 rounds of ammunition were at the bottom of her luggage. Tense moments on board an American Airlines flight yesterday morning in Tampa when a tire caught fire during takeoff. This video shows the tire exploding and catching fire as the jet, with 174 passengers on board, headed down the runway. The flight was headed to Phoenix, but the takeoff was aborted. Fire trucks responded to the scene. An American Airlines spokesperson says no one was injured. Passengers got off the plane safely and were bused to the terminal. The House today rejected a resolution to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in inherent contempt. 4 Republicans joined Democrats to defeat the measure by a vote of 204 to 210 until the Justice Department handed over audio of President Biden's interview with former special counsel Robert Hur. The interview is part of Hur's investigation into Biden's handling of classified documents while Biden served as a senator and later vice president. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button, click the notification bell, then you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. Stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News now at 5. President Biden faces a tough test after a critical NATO summit. Can he ease doubts about his leadership? His first solo news conference in over 8 months coming up in just a few minutes. Also ahead, how extreme heat can impact more than just your physical health. President Biden is set to hold a rare solo news conference in just a few moments at the NATO summit in Washington, D.C. as he wraps up the major meeting with world leaders. All eyes will be on Biden as he faces growing pressure to leave the presidential race.
President Joe Biden will face a major test when he takes questions at a solo news conference Thursday evening. This appearance comes at the conclusion of the critical NATO summit. It's an attempt to ease concerns, both abroad and at home, about his ability to lead. After Biden's disappointing debate performance last month, several congressional Democrats are calling on him to step away from the race, and every aspect of his performance will be closely scrutinized.
The challenge is he's going to have to fight back on this every single day going forward.
Biden says he is committed to staying in the race, and his campaign recently announced a, quote, aggressive travel schedule for the month. The president's allies have encouraged him to take on more unscripted opportunities like town halls and news conferences.
Joe Biden's never been a flawless, smooth, and perfect speaker, but he's always spoken from the heart. What my colleagues needed to see was him engaging and fighting, and that's what they're seeing.
Biden has held a historically low number of news conferences, including joint appearances with other world leaders, compared to his most recent predecessors at the same time in their presidencies. Each of them, of course, faced different national and international challenges during their tenure.
When he takes the podium this evening, it will be just the 15th time Biden has held a solo news conference, and the first time since November of 2023. Reporting at the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
The Senate Judiciary Committee will consider legislation to limit the impact of the Supreme Court's Trump immunity ruling. The court ruled that former President Donald Trump had some immunity for his conduct in seeking to overturn the 2020 election. The committee chair says the court's ruling is dangerous because it immunizes presidents who commit crimes as long as they claim their offenses were official acts. The committee will examine the legal and policy ramifications of the ruling in September. It's the #1 weather-related killer in the U.S. Extreme heat can take a toll on a person's body, but it may also have a significant impact on the mind.
When it comes to extreme heat, our bodies are sensitive, and so are our minds.
Studies have shown that excessive heat triggers stress, anxiety, frustration, and cognitive difficulties.
One study linked days of extreme heat with higher rates of mental health-related emergency department visits. While extreme heat doesn't cause mental health issues, it can make ones that exist even worse, says psychologist Susan Albers with Cleveland Clinic.
When we are trying to cool down, it creates a lot of stress on the body, and this releases cortisol, the stress hormone, which triggers the fight or flight response. And this is why we may feel a little bit more agitated during heat waves.
Albers says the heat can impact our ability to get quality sleep, which is strongly tied to mental health. To help your mood in the heat, get things like errands done in the morning or evening to avoid the hottest hours of the day. Wear light clothing to help keep you cool. And if you get hot, she says a cool shower or cold washcloth on the forehead or back of neck can help. And always stay hydrated.
This is the time to pull out the popsicles, hydrating foods such as watermelons, cantaloupes, anything that is going to help you to mitigate some of the features of dehydration, which really drag down our mental health.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Texas' most populous cities lost roughly 88 billion gallons of water last year because of aging water infrastructure and extreme heat, costing them millions of dollars and straining the state's water supply. You can read this article on our website, crossroadstoday.com.
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. A little bit of cloud cover and a few rain showers still left over. This is good stuff, you know, because it's not accompanied by 80-mile-an-hour winds. We'll get more showers tomorrow, but then the big old heat wave comes in next week. We'll talk about that coming up in a moment. Well, good afternoon, everybody. We are looking at 86 degrees right now, a little more humid and hot than we were last night. We were in the low 70s. That was nice. Our high today got up to 88. That's also nice because that's below the average. Folks, it's July. Remember July last year? So at least we're not seeing the hundreds just yet. We've been as warm as 108. Now, here's a classic photo. This one's going viral. Okay, this gentleman's in Houston. He pulled over to the Whataburger parking lot because the roads were flooded, couldn't get home. So he pulled the rod out and caught a bass right off the roadway there. So that's only Texas, right? Only in Texas. So that's another one. Now, we did have additional shower activity. Some of it was generally moderate to light. There were a couple of heavier showers. As you can see, we've got a big cluster just coming up into the city right about there. Where is it? Okay, here it comes. Here it comes. There you go. Okay, you see it? So basically, if you're going from Victoria to Goliad, you're going to run into that or even down to Refugio. So there are some heavier spots here and there. But like I said, this is good rain as opposed to having it being accompanied by the 80-mile-an-hour winds. And of course, it's all the moisture left over from the tropical storm that's popping into this activity. One more close-up. Let me see if we can get a close-up of that storm. There you go. Okay, this is within the hour. There's the city, the heaviest activity out 59, as you see right about there. So basically out Coleto Creek, it looks like, where they're getting a fairly significant thunder shower right about now. But again, like last night, they'll pop, and then when the sun goes down, they'll begin to decrease. Notice here that most of the rain today has been south of us, so to Port Lavaca, down to Calhoun County, and all the way down to Refugio. So that's where most of the heavier rain in the 1 to 2 inch range, or maybe more up there, and less if you're going northbound out of the city, heading on up into Hallettsville. We do have the heat advisories up for much of southeast Texas. Again, we're not included, which is fine, but it's just that hilarious thing about this side of the storm, nothing. This side of the storm was Beryl, and it passed right over us. And so this is where all the water is still floating around, and it's very humid. Now, this was the last report on Beryl, which was up in the Lake Erie area. But I got some incredible statistics that they put together for us. Beryl was now the first Category 4 in June, okay? Beryl was the earliest Cat 5 on records, okay? That's the earliest Cat 5. In Grenada, it hit at 150 miles an hour. You saw the islands. In Tulum, which is in the Yucatan, it came in at 110. And over Matagorda, they reported 80-mile-an-hour winds. And the storm was one for the record books. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, we've got a pattern change. We're going from the tropical stuff back to the heat and humidity. We are looking for one more day of showers for us, and temperatures at least in the upper 80s. Same thing for Cuero, but here's what I'm talking about. We're looking for isolated showers tomorrow, then decreasing on Saturday, even less on Sunday, and then we start looking at a little bit of a heat wave for next week. We will be in the mid to upper 90s, but many inland areas will start seeing their 100s once again. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. And here's Don.
Thank you. And coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, we'll take a look at your stocks. Plus, the end of an era. Redbox shuts down. The reason why the beloved DVD kiosk rental service is disappearing for good. Taking a look at your stocks, the Dow up 32 points, the S&P 500 down 49 points, the Nasdaq down 364 points. Oil up 52 cents, closing at $82.62 per barrel. Redbox is shutting down after its parent company converted its bankruptcy to Chapter 7 liquidation. Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment, which owns Redbox, was nearly $1 billion in debt and owes millions of dollars to several entertainment companies. The company's 1,000 employees are losing their jobs without any severance or extended benefits. Redbox failed to pay employees and vendors for at least 4 weeks before its Chapter 11 filing last month. Wall Street is growing increasingly confident that cooling inflation will allow the Fed to cut interest rates in the coming months. Investors are now pricing in an 89% chance of at least one rate cut by the September 18th Fed meeting. That's up from 73% Wednesday and about 50% a week ago. The odds of a September rate cut jumped after today's better than expected June inflation report. The report showed prices fell on a monthly basis for the first time since early in the pandemic. Stay with us. We'll take one last look at your forecast. Plus, a Texas Longhorns bold bid for freedom creates chaos in central Pennsylvania. And now here's a look at what's coming on World News Tonight right after 25 News Now at 5.
President Biden's unscripted press conference in the high-stakes race for the White House. Plus, the aftermath of Beryl as tornadoes threaten millions. More Americans turn to World News Tonight with David Muir, the most-watched newscast on television.
A Texas Longhorn caused a traffic headache in central Pennsylvania. Police in Fairview Township say the loose steer broke free from a trailer as he was being transported. The bull appeared to enjoy his freedom. He walked through lanes of traffic near the Fishing Creek exit. He was also spotted looking into an office space in the area. True story. Yeah. But his jaunt was short-lived. PennDOT officials say the bull was captured about an hour after being at large, and that's no bull. Or it is a bull.
It is a bull.
Video, and yeah,
it is a bull.
Yeah.
In this case.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, we have 5 locations where our hurricane tracking guide can be picked up, as pictured there. Go to crossroadstoday.com, click on Weather, Hurricane Tracker, and you'll see it on your right, below Storm Prep 2024. It's all there on our website. You can find out where they are, and now you can find out where the showers are going.
Well, yeah, exactly. We've got the shower activity rolling around the city. The heaviest one right now is actually between us and Goliad, so on 59 South. So, yeah, one more day of these nice little thunder showers. And then Saturday, they'll start to decrease. You'll see fewer and then even fewer on Sunday. Looks like next week's going to be a hot one as temperatures start pushing back up. We will be upper 90s, but I'm expecting many of the inland areas to start getting back to near 100. Some of you remember last summer, don't you?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes. We'd like to forget, but we do remember, yes.
We'd like to forget.
That's right. Mac, thank you, and thanks for being with us. We'll see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight with David Muir is up next.